India's space sector has reached an historic milestone. Skyroot became the first private entity to successfully launch a rocket into low Earth orbit last month. Skyroot's success, one example of India's rapidly growing space startup ecosystem. But turning that into a sustainable business comes with many challenges, as CNA's Priyata Brajabasi explains in this report from Bengaluru.
3, 2, 1, 0.
And we have liftoff of Vikram 1, India's first private orbital launch vehicle.
On 18th July, for the first time ever, an Indian private space tech company launched into orbit a rocket it had designed and built on its own. With the success of Skyroot Aerospace's Vikram 1, India became only the third country after the US and China capable of orbital launches through a private enterprise. Skyroot's story can be traced back to a decision in 2020 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to open up India's space economy to private firms. These would be regulated by the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre, or INSPACE.
Today we have more than 400 plus companies, and these companies we are trying to see that what technology transfer can be done from ISRO, which is already, so that they don't reinvent the wheel. And we are trying to create a technology adoption funds, different types of schemes, and different types of public partnership, generating the demand.
In June, the agency picked its first set of startups for funding. Among them, Bengaluru-based SatSure that turns satellite images of Earth into actionable insights for decisions on farms, infrastructure, lending and insurance. The Indian government is backing SatSure to build Dharani, what the company calls an Earth intelligence system powered by India-specific AI capabilities.
At Dharani, we are building that what we call as the backbone of making sense of huge volume and diversity of satellite imagery. To arrive at the end results, you can simply interface like what you do on ChatGPT. You can interface over Dharani that tell me what happened on this particular piece of land, and it will give you the answers.
Systems such as SatSure's depend on a constant supply of reliable observations. That is creating another Indian commercial opportunity, companies that operate the sensors themselves. Pixel, a startup backed by Google, is building what it calls a health monitor for the planet. Using imaging satellites so powerful, it's like capturing a detailed X-ray of our planet.
Hyperspectral lays bare those unseen problems hidden underneath the surface, and since no one else was doing it commercially globally, we thought, okay, here's a gap. We can build and launch our own constellation of hyperspectral satellites. That would be our entry point into being something that we can be the best in the world at.
In 2024, Pixel was selected by NASA to supply commercial hyperspectral Earth observation data for scientific research. The startup has 6 satellites in orbit and aims to send up to 24 more in the next 2 years. Pixel and SatSure are part of Allied Orbits, a new private consortium that is investing $130 million to launch a 12-satellite imaging network. Backed by the regulator INSPACE, the goal is to collect data for a wide range of uses, from agriculture to climate change monitoring and disaster response. All this using a system built and operated in India. But these ambitious plans are expensive, and industry insiders highlight that the critical challenge is not talent or technology, it's funding. They say late-stage domestic capital is still difficult to obtain.
You can see this trend across anyone that has raised anything beyond a Series A. If the round size, I think, exceeds 10 million, maybe 15 million, there aren't many Indian funds willing to take the risk of writing such large a check at that stage.
New Delhi recently rolled out a venture capital fund worth around $105 million for private space activities. However, experts say expensive deep tech businesses also need customers to scale.
So the government and the niche market, that the government should help them in having a liberal procurement policies. I think government has policies on upper level, but they have not liberalized the procurement policies in the organization level lower down. Why I'm telling government? Because any country, the biggest businessman is actually the government.
Mr. Mishra says startups also need to invest in testing facilities of their own and improve the way they recruit specialist talent. India's space economy is now valued at $9 billion and is projected to reach $40 to $45 billion over the next decade. That ambition is built on years of work done by the Indian Space Research Organization. For decades, ISRO has built rockets, satellites, infrastructure and launched cost-effective pioneering missions, including the world's first soft landing near the moon's south pole. That legacy has helped put India's private space companies on the launch pad. The challenge is now whether they can turn the head start into businesses that can compete and scale globally. Priyata, Brajabasi, CNA, Bengaluru.